Good morning, I'm Allie with Farm to School. Today we're going to do some garden bites with what we found here in the CI garden. So I'm over here at Channel Islands. We harvested some strawberries, some yummy strawberries. We have some tomatoes, look at these gorgeous tomatoes. And we got a cucumber. We have lots of these items, but what we're going to do is use some of these together to make a little salad. And then we also have some fresh basil we're going to do. So I'm going to chop that up really thin and we're going to top it with a little balsamic vinegar and see how that tastes. So we're gonna go ahead and start off with some of our tomatoes we have here. I have a serrated knife. What I like about using a serrated knife is it's not going to squish your tomatoes when you go to chop them up. So where a big knife, if it's not super sharp, might kind of squish it. A serrated knife is gonna allow you to really move through with ease and to get a nice even chop on your tomato. So we're going to go ahead and cut this up. If you have a large serrated knife, like a bread knife, you could use that too, and it would go a little bit quicker. And we want to make sure to use as much of the tomato as possible. So this is all I'm wasting. It just cuts through that skin really nicely when it's serrated. This one's a little juicier, which is nice. We have our cucumber. So we're going to go ahead and cut the edges of our cucumber off. I'm going to shave a little bit of the skin because sometimes the skin can be a little rough. But there's good nutrients in there, so I don't want to get rid of everything. And it just provides a little bit of a better look, so to speak. So when we're using a big knife, we want to claw and saw so that this is the claw and this is the saw so that we're not cutting the edges of our fingers off. So we're going to grab it like this, and then you actually can lean the knife on your knuckle there so that you know you're not getting your fingers. As long as you keep them behind that, you should be fine. And that allows you to move with ease while still having control of your fruit or vegetable because it won't be sliding around as much. And then I'm going to go ahead and quarter these so that it's a better bite-sized piece, so it's easier for us to bite into, and it helps keep everything a little more uniform in size. Okay, so now we have our cucumber. And then we got a few strawberries here we're going to cook with. So we're going to go ahead and just cut off the edges, and I'm going to cut these to be about the same size as everything else and add them in there. We're at the end of strawberry season here, so we're using what we got in kind of our last harvests here. Now, when we're picking basil, you might have the whole top like this, and what we want to do is pick off the leaves. So you can use this stem, but it just doesn't have as good as like a texture in your mouth. So usually in something like this, I'll pick off the leaves like this to make it a little bit easier to eat. If you're making a pesto, you could go ahead and put this whole thing in the blender or a food processor. Okay, and then in order to not damage the basil leaves, we want to keep them looking pretty and not bruised. Bruises when they turn black. We're going to stack them on top of each other like this. And then what we can do is roll them up. This is called chiffonade. I'm going to show you how to chiffonade. So we roll them up, and then we still claw and saw into little spirals here. And then what that does is create nice, pretty long pieces so that we can sprinkle them into our salad. And it'll look really nice and pretty without giving you a whole bite of basil if you don't want that. Okay, so let's do one more here. Here's our chiffonade basil. Isn't that pretty? Alright, so we have our salad here. I went ahead, we have our tomatoes, we have our cucumbers, and we have our strawberries. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of salt. A good pinch of salt. And a little bit of pepper to season it. And then we're going to mix it up here. Alright. Do a little bit more pepper. And then I have some balsamic vinegar. And then I'm going to use a fork here to kind of drizzle it on so I don't get too crazy. So it's like I want a good amount, but I don't want this whole thing to pour out on my salad right now. Okay. And then I'll kind of mix that up in there and see how it's going. Looks okay. And then we're going to top with our chiffonade basil. So we have a nice, beautiful salad here. Here's our garden bites. You can mix it up if you want, or you could keep the basil on top as a garnish to top it on, put it on top. And then we're going to go ahead and give it a try. So I'm going to take tomato. I'm getting everything in one bite here. Cucumber, basil, tomato. Let me get my strawberry. There we go. So good. So fresh and super, super easy. Make it at home, guys. Enjoy.